Hello, welcome back to the illustrious Michael Sisco show. And we are doing a favor, and I literally found this guest off the street out of a studio where she was pretending to. She's basically an actress pretending to live in this fictional place called Australia. So, welcome to the show, Eve Black, conspiracy theorist from the fake place. And while I set up super chats, why don't you kind of introduce yourself to the audience to give us a little bit of background? And by background, I mean the entire background. Let's.
Okay. So yes, my name is Eve, and I'm from the set of Australia because, as we all know, Australia is an elaborate hoax, and I gained some notoriety a few months ago when I decided to go through a checkpoint which people shouldn't have been going through because of COVID restrictions. I usually was associated with notoriety anyway because I have some rather polarizing views and I tend to be rather vocal about those things. So, stemming from veganism to any kind of conspiracy and beyond, not liking feminism, being newly called back to orthodoxy, as that's what I was raised into and brought up with. And I'm enjoying sharing my views as they're evolving and as I learn more. And it seems to be getting a fair bit of traction with obviously the right people and the wrong people, people who obviously don't agree, but that's okay. I don't need it to be an echo chamber. I just want to speak up, and it's really good. It's really good to be connecting with like-minded people to share opinions and talk more. Are you a bogan? Do I answer questions as they come up?
Yeah, if I put it on the screen, you can answer it.
Okay, great. Are you a bogan? I would say that I am something of a cultured bogan.
I don't even know what a bogan is.
I'm actually wondering, the person who put that on the screen, are they from Australia or like from over there in the US? Because usually people wouldn't know what a bogan is, but I think that a bogan would be like the Australian equivalent of a redneck.
Oh, really? Oh, you're definitely a
Yeah.
bogan.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm very proud to be Australian. I'm Greek Australian, of course. And I really do embrace that typical Aussie culture with which I do think that people would associate with being a bogan. But I'm an educated and cultured bogan.
Well, I learn something new every day. I didn't know didn't know you could have a culture on a fake continent. So pretty cool.
True.
But I'm actually, we're gonna talk about veganism, but I'm kind of curious. When did you start coming back to? Obviously you were born Orthodox. You don't have to be Orthodox to be Greek to be Orthodox, but you
Correct.
can't be Orthodox if you're can't not be Orthodox if you're Greek, right? So
yeah, well, I mean, I do think in Greece now there's a big push away from religion. So I have met Greeks who definitely don't identify with being Orthodox, and that was me for a very long time. I was raised in a traditionally minded family, but not necessarily one that was spiritually inclined. I think that I would have been baptized Orthodox more for the traditional aspect of it rather than my family being devout and wanting to practice. We would only pretty much go to church once a year up until I was around the age of 16, just to appease my yaya, which is grandmother in Greek. And I didn't necessarily feel close to the message or the community or anything like that. I had a relationship with God through my school's youth group, which was a non-denominational Christian youth group, and I moved away from all of that as I had a taste of all of the everything else that the world has to offer, and I've taken my sweet time, but I have come back to faith. I had an undeniably godly experience at the start of the year, and Yeah, I mean, I'm still learning, but I feel called to go back to my roots, and I am baptized in the Orthodox Church, so I'm feeling drawn to that, and I really love traditionalism as well, so it feels right.
Nice. Glory to God. Read the patristics. Patristics. Some you got some good how about St. John Chrysostom? Homilies on marriage and family. I want you to read that.
Okay, should I
That's an
add this to
assignment.
my reading list?
Yes, like that should be the next thing.
Okay,
Saint,
great, great,
I'll send you a link. I actually have a reading list
perfect.
for my followers, but I don't think it's on there. But I should add that to
My
it.
reading list is insane at the moment. This is on my reading list, but I've got it just keeps growing and growing. My priest, actually, I've got a couple of great priests that I've been able to connect with, even though everything's been locked down, priests who support me and, my antics and that kind of thing. And they really have welcomed me into the community, even though the community has been distant. I've really felt supported. And I went and had lunch with my priest and his wife and their kids, and they gave me this wonderful book on modesty that I've been reading, which is perfect because I've really been enjoying exploring modesty as I've come back to the faith as well. So yeah, that's on my reading list too. It's been good, but I'm like, wow, the list just keeps on growing, and I'm reading more than ever, but the list, I don't know if I'll ever get through it all.
Ray is a man of culture. He's actually Filipino, so
Cool.
is
Is
the
the word
word
wog offensive? I don't find it offensive, but that's because I'm not a butthurt liberal. So, I think that anything can be offensive depending on the intention, but I don't really take myself too seriously, so I'm not offended.
I don't even know what it is. I don't know. All of this stuff is all new to me. I guess I'm
Well,
like,
wog would be considered. I think a lot of Asians would say that it's a Western Oriental gentleman, but wog is actually to refer to people who are of typically a Mediterranean background who have emigrated to another Western culture, so Australia or the US. But I mean, it's a term that's used in Australia.
well, hey, our looks like our vegan friends are already here.
Hang
I'm
on,
the
I am the
person
person
that has
speaking.
spoken more people not needlessly harming the animals than anyone alive. Do you want to hear what I have to say? No, not really. Gay. Um, but anyways, let's perfect segue.
Perfect.
We're here to talk about, veganism and how insane it is. And I think I actually saw you post on Instagram that it has religious roots. So why don't you explain that?
Okay, well, veganism itself doesn't actually have religious roots as far as I've been able to see. What I did post on Instagram, it was more just like a mocking meme, and it showed the what depicted to be humans fornicating with animals, and that was an ancient Hindu sculpture. And basically, the Hindus and the Jains were the first ones, apparently, to support vegetarianism. So when I say vegetarianism from those regions, it's actually not including eggs because an egg is an embryo, so it is viewed as a life. So they do support the eating of dairy and, of course, every other plant food. So, diet very rich in legumes, grains, and obviously vegetables, whatever fruits and that kind of thing. So, I mean, Hinduism is older than Buddhism, but then those same principles have also been encouraged in Buddhism. So a lot of Buddhists will also eat the same way. Interestingly enough, though, the Dalai Lama, I think that he's a fraud anyway, so we can, part of the global elite, which maybe we can touch on a little bit later. But yes, he actually eats meat. So yeah, it's the concept is based on ahimsa, which is basically non-harm. So if you're eating pain and suffering, then you're also bringing that into your body, and then it's just a bad exchange of energy. And they're saying that it doesn't need to be that way, so you can just eat foods that you don't need to inflict harm upon, so that you can get your nutrients, which you don't really get the nutrients from. But that's a whole other story. I mean, the actual term veganism itself, though, a guy called Donald Watson, he coined the term because he basically wasn't happy with vegetarianism as a diet that's supposed to inflict no harm onto animals, because if you actually look at animal agriculture, dairy, life is most important. Exercise, veganism. Yes, amen. Yes. Oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought for a second there.
Oh man, he's gone. He's gone already. Bye bye, vegan. Bye bye. Oh my god, he lost all his iron. He lost all his iron in his blood and he's dead now. Oh no.
So yeah, he wasn't happy with vegetarianism in that it actually still promotes harm toward animals, because if you actually look at the dairy industry, I would say that it's probably the most destructive and aggressive and harmful toward the animals. And so veganism was coined in 1944 because of that. Before that, there had never been any cultures to subsist off of a vegan diet. So vegetarianism had also popped up around the 1800s, called the Pythagorean diet. And so that was prevalent. Apparently Hitler was a vegetarian. Fun fact, people like to say that Einstein was a vegetarian. That's not true. Einstein is recorded having eaten meat, but he turned to vegetarianism in the last years of his life after he made massive advances in the scientific community. So, you know, it's not really noteworthy to me that he was a vegetarian. And yeah, that just goes to show, you know, it's a very new concept to be a vegan. There's no history of it. If you actually look any further back than like 60, 70 years. And I do actually want to go to my Bible, and I can see where a lot of vegans, even like Christian vegans, they're out there. And they say, oh, well, you know, God didn't want us to eat animals. And I know that there's a few parts of scripture that would indicate that. And this is the thing with scripture. Like, I mean, I'm only new to being back to the faith, and I am reading my Bible along with a whole lot of other material. But there's a verse in Genesis chapter 1, verse 29. And God said, see, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. To you it shall be for food. So I understand that people would read that and be like, oh yeah, God wants us to be vegan. But it also doesn't explicitly say that we need to be vegetarians either, or vegans either. There is obviously other conflicting verses as well. I've got another one. Leviticus 11, 1-2. Now the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying to them, speak to the children of Israel, saying, these are among the animals which you may eat among all the animals that are on earth. So, you know, it's right there.
Yeah, I mean, if we were supposed to be vegan, God would not have told the Jews not to eat pork because it's unclean. He would have said, don't eat meat. He would have said meat's unclean. So, yeah. But yeah. I mean, there is I do understand there is such a thing as exceptionalism, in which some people will choose to have a certain diet out of compassion or whatever, and that's cool. But veganism seems to look at those spectacles. But
my eyes were getting sore. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to put them on.
but veganism tends to take on like a religious nature of its own. It's like vegans have this desire to basically proselytize you and shame you for eating meat. And you'll never meet a vegan without knowing they're vegan, because for one, they look emasculated if they're a man, but two, they will tell you that they are vegan. Like, they'll just tell you in 2 seconds, hi, I'm vegan. You should be too. How dare you eat meat?
So. Yeah, I mean, and you know what? Like, Michael, I've been there. I've been on the pursuit of, you know, self-improvement and self-exploration, which is obviously what's led me down the path of becoming religious again. I got all caught up in the New Age movement and everything, and I've finally come back to God. But I've always been wanting to improve myself, so of course I explored veganism because it was hyped up to be something so vegan equals agitators laughing. Yeah, so of course I wanted to explore that. I'm really curious. Some eights and some say
That's like an
I
aesthetic.
agree. I'm just going to touch on that quickly. I would say it's for the spiritually pious, and this is what I was leading to with saying I've actually been a vegan. So I was on a vegan diet for 6 months, and it was after about the 3-month mark that I actually started to experience some health concerns. And along with that health concerns, I did also experience a sense of lightness. I did feel closer to what then I would have described as ether, or like, I felt closer to divinity, because everything in this plane has a frequency. So when you're eating meat, when you're eating animal foods, they're more dense in their frequency, and therefore they lower your vibrational frequency. So when you're eating foods that are of a higher frequency, especially raw foods, you're elevating your vibrational frequency, which connects you closely with the divine. Now, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, because it's actually a really wonderful feeling. It's this constant sense of elation, but we are also human beings. We're not supposed to transcend elsewhere. There's so much of the New Age movement. They're like, transcend, fifth dimension. Like, we are human beings. We are supposed to be here, and we are designed to eat meat. It is in our biology. And going back to the me being vegan thing, yeah, I was that person. Like, I was like, oh, I'm vegan and blah, blah, blah. And I understand the argument, and I get where these people are coming from, because I too bought into the idea that it is cruel. People need to know, they need to make the connection. Like, this is always a line that they're saying, you need to make the connection, because they say, well, you wouldn't eat a dog and you wouldn't eat a cat, but you would eat a cow. Like, you would condemn the Chinese for the Yulin Dog Festival because they're eating dogs, but you eat a cow. Like, what's the difference? They're both animals, you know? And I do understand that argument. However, if you want to tackle
I don't.
Well, I
Eat the
understand,
dog
because
there.
I've experienced that. But if you actually really want to look at it logistically, more animals die for the production of monocrop agriculture than they do for somebody who would be eating a high meat diet full of pastured, well-raised animals. So if you were to eat a carnivore diet, for example, I mean, that's literally like the polar opposite. If you were to eat a carnivore diet, you could subsist off of one cow, maybe like one cow and another ruminant, a small ruminant. For they eat dogs in Africa too, lol. Cool. You could subsist off of like 1 or 2 animals for a year. I'm talking eating the whole animal, yeah? Like, make waste of nothing. Use the skin for leather. Like, eat the liver. It's good for you. Like, animal foods are so nutrient dense. So you would actually be killing less animals by eating a fully carnivore diet than you would be for eating a plant-based diet, because so many plants are grown with monocrop agriculture, and the farmers of those crops need to actually shoot animals. They need to kill animals to be maintaining the crops. Foxes. What about all of the insects that die just because they're not cute and fluffy? Does that not have concern for you with regards to animal ethics and the fact that they're dying? Like, do you see the hypocrisy there?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not the vegan here, Eve. I'm gonna calm down. Calm down.
I get really heated because I've been there and I got sick from this diet, and like, I know that there's people out there who they go on a vegan diet and they actually feel amazing, and then they attribute it to the fact that they're not eating meat anymore. And the difference there is you're actually not eating junk food anymore. A lot of the junk food that's out there, which people who are unhealthy will live off of, they have animal foods in there. So if you're going to cut out animal foods, you are instantly also going to be cutting out a lot of junk food. Notice it's mostly mammals that we care about. Lol. Yeah, Yeah, I have noticed that. But yeah, if you cut out a lot of junk food, which happens to have animal products in there, people will say, oh, well, I feel better when I went vegan. No, it's not the meat cutting out that makes you feel better. It's the junk.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into more specific. Well, I mean, I feel healthiest when I go on like paleo, when I go full
Yeah.
like just meat. I mean, but if I'm lifting, if I'm like gaining, I need some whey, so I need some dairy for
Yeah,
lifting.
yeah. I
But
mean, dairy works for some people. You know, I think that most people now, including myself, are intolerant to dairy because we haven't been eating dairy in the way that it should be eaten. A lot of dairy, in fact, basically all commercial dairy is now pasteurized and homogenized. The homogenization isn't so much of a big issue, but the pasteurization is, because you're actually killing off the digestive enzymes that are in the milk, which make it easier for us to digest. So by eating pasteurized milk, you're actually not really able to digest it. You're also killing off a lot of the nutrients that are in there, and you're basically just getting empty carbs, fats, and protein, which aren't inherently bad because they're just macronutrients. But we shouldn't necessarily be eating to macronutrients. We should be focusing on micronutrients and digestibility. Pasteurized milk gives you neither of those benefits.
and the kind with the cream on top tastes better anyways. So
It definitely does. Like foods in their natural form. It makes sense. Obviously, you're saying when you want to be bulking up, like you want to have whey because you're adding more protein into your diet. Carbohydrate is really important, also, along with protein for muscle synthesis and growth. But like a lot of vegans, they are missing out on the protein, and they're going to say to you like, oh, well, you know, there's no such thing as being protein deficient. Well, technically speaking, no, but that's actually because your body can catabolize itself to create protein if you need to through a process called gluconeogenesis. So like, actually, my mistake, I've actually said the wrong thing there. That's where your body can actually create carbohydrates if it needs to. But what I am saying is that your body definitely can be breaking down your muscle to give you your requirements for carbohydrates. But if you're also not eating a balanced diet, you're going to be missing out on nutrients like protein. So your body isn't actually getting the building blocks that it needs to continue to grow and also grow muscle, such as protein. And the reason that vegans are deficient in that, despite the fact that there are lots of vegan foods out there that have protein in there, for example, lentils, beans, even like other vegetables will have some protein in there, baseline protein. So you can meet what's technically considered your baseline protein requirements on a vegan diet. However, a lot of people fail to see that vegan protein is actually only 70% maximum bioavailable. And that means that your body can actually only use 70% of that protein. Whereas if you were to take 100 grams of steak or whatever volume of steak, say for example, if you've got an eye fillet steak, a very small one, 100 grams, maybe that's going to have like 30 or 40 grams of like straight protein in there. I couldn't tell you exactly, but you're going to absorb all of that protein because you're designed that way. God designed us that way. Whereas with plants, we only absorb about up to 70% of that protein. And it's also incomplete protein. It's usually lacking in one or two of the 9 essential amino acids.
interesting. Matthew Morris says, don't you need 3 grams of carbohydrates for every 1 gram of protein to carry the proteins to your muscles?
That is not true. It could be a recommended principle for the purpose of optimal muscle building, but not necessarily. There are people who are able to gain weight, gain mass, gain muscle mass while they're on a fully carnivore diet. I am one of those people. I don't eat a carnivore diet consistently. I go on and off, which is another point that I'd like to touch on. Going in between different diets, I think that can actually be really helpful for the body. I know that within the church, fasting is promoted. So Wednesdays and Fridays, obviously not eating meat. I think that that can be fantastic. I also think that periodic veganism, you know, for up to a month at a time, maybe even a little bit longer, can be fantastic as a way to feel closer to God, also physical benefits of just having a rest from certain foods, trying different things. But veganism long term is just not sustainable, nor has it ever been practiced in any other time than now. I'm vegan, so it's bad for you, and so is meat, so is gluten. No, meat's not bad for you, period. It's just not. It's just not. It is just not.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So what health issues, I mean, I don't want to get too intrusive, but so I won't ask. I guess I shouldn't ask what health issues you encountered.
No, you can totally ask that. That's not a problem.
Okay. So what happened to you, and then what else is common?
Right. So with me, 3 months in, I started to lose my hair. The hair on my head was falling out at a rapid rate, and no doubt this is because. Sorry?
I said yikes.
Yeah, yikes. I was freaking out. So I also, at that point, went in to go and get some blood tests. And my blood test said that even within 3 months of having been on a vegan diet, that I was B12 deficient. And B12 is so very important for your cardiovascular health and transporting essential minerals throughout the body. So yeah, I mean, vegan diets are entirely deficient of B12. So I needed to get the jab. So I got a supplement of B12. And again, within 2 weeks, I went for follow-up blood tests, and I was deficient again. So either my body didn't synthesize it, or I was just really lacking that much. I do have a B negative blood type, which means that we usually do well on meat, paleo style diets, also really work for other B types that I've met. So yeah, I'm definitely not a person who should be eating a low meat diet. I also experienced my acne getting worse. Too much carbohydrates definitely does not work for my body, not at all. And I also started to feel lethargic and tired, and I experienced constant bloating because he says I like to eat grass though. Well, yeah, I mean, like, I'm somebody who actually really enjoys the taste of vegetables and all that kind of thing. But the thing is with vegetables and grasses, they're actually primarily indigestible in the human digestive tract, which is why it's so magnificent that we can eat things like ruminants, like cows, for example, who have 6 stomachs, and all they do all day is they sit there eating, and the food ferments in their 6 stomachs, and that makes the nutrients from the food go into their adipose tissue, which we eat, and then we can get those nutrients.
Vegans are like transgenders. They announce it when they walk into a room, and during casual conversation, they remind you at least 5 times. It's cool, sis. Do you get it? But
No,
Matthew,
but I get, yeah.
Let me just say, Matthew would know. No further comment, but
so I experienced like health problems, and then what I did to combat that was I started eating meat again. I persisted for another couple of months, so I was vegan for a total of 6 months. And then after that, I was like, no, I need to listen to my body. So I started eating a steak a day, and then my hair stopped falling out, and I started getting new hair growing in.
Nice. So I'm O positive. What am I supposed to eat?
Excuse me. O positives can. I think that there's only select foods that they would be better off cutting out, but I think that they're pretty, they're omnivorous, and they do well. I mean, everybody is omnivorous, but with what would be considered a balanced diet. So they tend to do all right, I believe, with grasses, grains, that type of thing, even pulses. Do you do all right with pulses?
With what?
Pulses, like legumes, beans, that kind of, like lentils.
Yeah, I eat all that stuff.
Yeah. So I definitely don't eat that stuff. That doesn't work in my body. It really, like, it's no good for me. So I feel best when I eat meat, fish, fruit, veg. What I will say on blood types, I think that there is a very good reason that a lot of people, and you'll notice especially white people, if you look at population distribution with blood types, you will see that there is a really high prevalence of type A bloods among Europe. And Europe, white people, let's be vegan. Now, this is the thing with a type A diet, type A blood type, is they actually do tend to thrive eating less heavy foods. So less meat, more vegetables, perhaps for some people that will even mean grains. But this is the thing. Being a vegetarian versus being a vegan are two very different things. Now, I don't support either, but veganism is completely unnatural. As for vegetarianism, you're obviously getting high quality animal protein in the form of eggs and dairy, which is bioavailable. But I would still say that even the type A's who say that they thrive on a vegetarian diet would be thriving more so and would be seeing optimal results if they would also sporadically include some meats in their diet, preferably like wild meats or pastured meats, just high quality.
Interesting. So what are some other issues that you've seen with some other people or that you've heard of that have tried the vegan diet?
Yeah, well, I'm lucky that it didn't get that bad for me. It definitely is much worse for other people, especially who have been on that road a lot longer. And I've seen people suffering from depression, really bad acne. Some people get holes in their teeth, which is really, really common, especially for those who are on a raw vegan diet. All of the sugar from the fruit. Fruit is wonderful, and yes, it can be very healthy and it works for a lot of people. I really love fruit, but yeah, too much fruit in the diet can also cause the teeth to decay. People have really bad digestive issues. People who are on a vegan and or vegetarian diet eating meat. Yep. Yeah. What was I going to say? No, I lost my train of thought. I love these questions popping up on the screen, but I'm so easily distracted, so I've just gone blank now. Oh yeah, other problems. I would say, wow, I mean, like, how much time do you have? Seriously, digestive issues seems to be the main thing, the most common that I've experienced, and then of course there is the more serious ones. So, like, mental health conditions, depression, anxiety, and also autoimmune diseases. So sadly, I have a friend of mine. Well, actually, it's not so sad anymore because she started eating animal foods. A friend of mine who had Hashimoto's disease, and she was just absolutely staunch that her vegan diet was working for her. And I was like, you don't understand. Like, you're eating inflammatory foods, especially like lots of soy. I mean, she was gluten-free, but her Hashimoto's disease is getting worse. And this is the thing. It's like these diets aren't made for human beings. And yes, it is inflammatory for the body. And as soon as people swap over and they start introducing animal foods again, these symptoms go away. Depression is highly associated with people who are on a vegan or vegetarian diet. And I don't really know if it's a case of like, is it the chicken or the egg? Like, I don't know which one came first, really. But I would say my observation of society is that the same people who tend to be overly emotional, butthurt leftist liberals are also the ones who are highly inclined toward vegetarianism and veganism. And it makes sense because I feel like they're just constantly in a search out there for a sense of righteousness, and maybe thinking that they're killing less animals and doing the right thing. It bolsters their sense of self. And I do think that
Well, that
those
was
sorts of people probably. Sorry?
that was kind of the next question, which is there I know that there is a correlation between veganism and mental illness. The only real question
Yep.
is it the cause, or is it just that it attracts people that are already mentally ill?
Yeah, I look, chicken or the egg. Seriously, I really don't know which one comes first. It is absolutely shown, excuse me, to there's absolute correlation, but correlation does not necessarily equal causation. Like I said, I do feel like a lot of the same virtue signaling at its finest, most certainly Sydney, absolutely. And I would say that, yeah, the types of people who are inclined, who are that way inclined, are also the same sort of people who are offended over things easily, which I would say is a mental illness in itself. So it's sort of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, I'm offended, so I'm going to eat a vegan diet, and that's going to make me more offended.
Yeah. I'm going to quit meat, but I'm going to keep watching porn, okay?
Oh my gosh, I thought you were being serious and saying that for yourself. You should have seen the look on my face. I don't know if you're looking at the screen at that moment. Oh my gosh. Right. I'm going to quit meat, but I'm going to keep watching porn. I'm like, wow. Yeah.
Didn't you see my last episode, Eve? Didn't you watch?
With Bronwyn?
Yeah. That was a good one. You should watch it if you haven't.
No, I did. I definitely did watch it. Yeah, it was great.
Both of you surprised me. I think I'm bringing on like ditzy guests, and then all of a sudden you're like extremely intelligent. What's going on here? Look at me prejudging.
Wow. How dare I be extremely intelligent?
Oh, look at you. You're blushing. You're blushing now, Eve. On air,
actually, I used the solarium. I used my sunbed. So I'm really red in the face. I look like a beetroot right now because I've been tanning.
So you're not just blushing because of how good I look in my suit that I wore just for you? I would have been
blushing because I like receiving compliments when people acknowledge that I'm intelligent.
Oh, very very intelligent, Eve. Very intelligent.
Thank you, dear.
Yeah. Where should we? Oh, Michael, stop simping and do your job, Michael. Hey, okay, Ray. All right, Ray. If anyone needs to be told to stop simping, it's you. It's you, okay? I see you in the Orthodox singles group. All right, we gotta get Eve up in. We gotta get Eve up in there. Are you on Facebook? You're not on Facebook. Oh, we have a Telegram singles chat. We're gonna get Eve in the singles chat. In fact, we'll do it right now on air. On air.
Oh my gosh, no!
Let's get Eve in the singles chat on Telegram.
Okay,
Hang on.
If you do it, I'm just gonna leave after.
I don't. Nah. You can't leave.
I'm nervous about that kind of thing, and also I feel like everyone's in the States anyway. So yeah, I am single, but
no, there's people all over the world in this chat. We have Alcies. I think they're female, but
I'm getting awkward. Stop.
Add member. Here we go.
Oh my gosh.
Let's go. Eve Black.
I feel uncomfortable.
Add young Orthodox Christian singles. Go get her, guys. Go get her.
What? No, gosh, stop. Oh my gosh, that is so embarrassing.
She likes tall guys and with a little bit of, you know what? David Patrick Harry. He's over 6 foot. He's jacked. He's been on my show before. He's getting his master's degree.
A four-wheel drive and also knows how to shoot guns, please. Also
yeah.
Land.
Yeah, that homesteading is literally...
No, enough. Let's
David Patrick Harry is the one for you.
No. This joke has gone on for too long. Back to...
He's definitely not a vegan either. The dude, he's jacked. I'll send you pictures later. I'll get you in touch. We got this.
Anyway, so where were we? Veganism.
Veganism. Ray's kind of right. Nothing really happens in that chat, so you're fine. You're cool. It's like
good.
It's cool. It's cool. Anyways, I think we left off on health issues.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that the biggest one that does come up for vegans is the digestive issue, and also starting to feel weak. What did he say? This stream has gotten what?
He said it's gotten gay. Michael Simcoe. He's making fun of my last name. You know, it's not simping to try and set a woman up with another dude. That's not simping, bro. I'm good. I'm good.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so veganism. Yeah, I do think that the major problem that comes up with people, which doesn't usually present for a lot of people till around the 3 to 5 year mark, and they will be experiencing digestive issues and brain fog, and they will feel weak. They might become emaciated. Another dude equals Michael Cisco. Wait, I don't get it. Anyway. Yeah, and then this is the thing, you'll find like a lot of vegan YouTubers who have totally like made their coin and their lifestyle, everything that they represent has been off of veganism, and then they all of a sudden start listening to their body, which is telling them like, this isn't working for me anymore, and then they start eating meat, and then all of the other vegans who are still out there and like super hardcore, they're like, you didn't do it right. No, there's no way to do a diet right that is not designed for humans, okay? And I know that there is exceptions out there. People like Rich Roll, for example, he is like a marathoner. He's an extreme athlete, okay? So maybe I actually don't mean what I said in that there is no way to do a vegan diet right, because he is obviously doing something right. But I think that in order to actually be a vegan and not be deteriorating, you must be absolutely meticulous. And even still, it must also be a certain person with certain genetics, certain ancestry, and ability to actually assimilate the nutrients that a vegan diet offers, which is inferior to a diet to an omnivorous diet.
Yeah, I feel like because I've seen like the whole vegan bodybuilder thing, and they have to spend a lot of money to be able to supplement enough to. I mean, you can't just. That's just all there is to it. You have to spend an enormous amount of money to supplement to be able to make it healthy.
Yeah, and I mean, I see it this way. Any diet that you need to supplement is obviously not the right diet, because a diet that has everything that you need will mean that you don't need to supplement. I know that a lot of people out there will say, "Oh, but a lot of people supplement iron and a lot of people supplement this and that." Well, that's because these days modern agriculture has actually destroyed the soil. So we're actually not getting the same nutrients from most of the foods. But we need to be making a return to small scale agriculture, ideally homesteading. We should be knowing how to grow and sustain our own food source without being dependent on a system that is outside of our control, because all of those foods are so nutrient depleted because monocrop agriculture destroys the environment and also depletes the food. So yeah, even omnivores can be nutrient deficient sometimes, but I think it's really important to put focus on eating a diet of whole foods that has come from as close to the source as possible before it gets to you.
So, is veganism a scheme orchestrated by the globalist elite, like, let's say, Bill Gates?
Yeah, wow. Okay. Well, it's interesting that I feel like that really ties in with what I was saying as I finished up just before, saying that it's really important for us to be able to grow our own food, right? Now, I was trying to look into this last night as a friend sent me an article which stipulated that there is a bill moving forward to be passed in the New Zealand Parliament, which would make it illegal for people to grow their own food. So, excuse me, my apologies. It's not the Rona. Just cleared my throat. So making it illegal for people to grow their own food. I mean, any critical thinker would hear that and think, okay, well, something's going on there. Why are we being pushed in a direction that's going to make it illegal for us to sustain ourselves so that we can know what's going into our food, the quality of it, and making us dependent on a system that can fail us at any moment? And it does fail us because commercial food that we buy from the supermarket is nowhere near as nutrient dense as the food that we grow. Now, on top of that, Bill Gates, yeah, he promotes veganism, but I can bet that if you really go looking, you can probably find him eating a steak. So the guy's a hypocrite, and I think that if anyone's going to be getting vaccinations, then he should probably be the first one to take them. I do see the facts about veganism, which is that it leads to infertility, because animal fats are really, really important for hormone production and general health. So vegan diets have been shown to cause infertility, which basically means that we're not going to be able to procreate. Now, there is a depopulation agenda. If you see that as some crazy conspiracy theory, then like, cool, you know, what did the other person say before about vegans? They say, you do you. To those people out there who can't see that there is a depopulation agenda, I say, you do you. But I am looking and I am seeing that there is absolutely an agenda for that. And veganism plays a really important part in it. You also see the people out there who are promoting veganism. I mean, for goodness sake, Billie Eilish, she's this young American pop star, and she promotes veganism, and she also says that people should vote for Joe Biden. So that says plenty. She encourages people to use their heart and their brain and to think, because veganism is the only way, and it's the ethical way, and blah blah blah. These people are also doing music videos with incredibly dark and satanic themes. So if you look at the source of these recommendations, it's not godly. I'll put it that way. I do also see a strong association of people who are vegan or promoting vegetarianism. They also promote a life of degeneracy. Now, that's obviously subject to different people's opinions, what they consider degeneracy. But having been someone who's lived both sides, I've been a degenerate, and I've become conservative. I've lived both. I can see that the people who also live those lifestyles are not promoting godliness.
Rated musician. Vegans like animals way more than humans, and that is enough not to trust them.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I see so many people out there saying like, oh, I don't like animals. Sorry, I don't like humans. I'd rather be with animals. I'm like, well, seriously, just go and be with animals. Roll around like a pig in a pen, and just you do that. I'll be busy trying to, you know, voice important opinions that will hopefully get people to start thinking about what's actually happening out there. So, yep, global elite, vaccines, vegan diet, depopulation agenda, make the people weak and infertile. I mean, for goodness sake, a staple in the majority of people's vegan diets is soy, which is very high in phytoestrogens, which when in the body causes an estrogen dominance, which is a bad imbalance to have. And this is really important when it comes to our men, because men are being told that their masculinity is toxic. And what gets rid of testosterone? What is masculinity? Masculinity is the representation of testosterone in the body, right? So if we're decreasing the amount of testosterone in our men, they're also not going to be able to be good warriors to fight for what they know is right. And I know that this probably sounds super far-fetched for a lot of people, but all it takes is for you to just start looking at all those little things that are around there, and it pieces itself together.
Hey, what I'm really curious about is how seriously a vegan takes their veganness. Will they take a vaccine that is made out of human embryos? Because
yeah, I think a lot of them would. I really do think a lot of them would, because a lot of the vegan crowd are very like pro-vaccine. And I mean, I used to be pro-vaccine myself, but anybody who, most people, who are now anti-vax, used to be pro-vax. And then they found out why they shouldn't be. I mean, aside from the questionable ingredients like aborted human fetal tissue, there's also vaccine injury. So, I mean, if vaccines aren't 100% safe, then they're not safe. But back to vegans and vaccines, yes, there does really seem to be a strong correlation with the vegan community and saying, because science, which is actually quite hypocritical, because if vegans would look at science, then they would see that a vegan diet is actually not the way that we're designed to eat.
yeah, well, they're pretty good at projection, because if you present science to them, they'll be like, "Oh well, that's pseudoscience pushed by the meat and dairy industry." Well, really, they're
Yeah.
pretty much relying on pseudoscience completely. um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, there's I think you can find science that is going to back any opinion that you have. But if you just look throughout history, the fact that there has never been a culture or a group of people to ever subsist off of a vegan diet, then I think that makes it very, very clear that this is just absolutely not how we're designed.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's all my questions on that. Do you have anything that you want to say to tie it all together? Any final words?
Um, what I would say to tie it all together is I don't think that um, any one diet is going to suit everybody, but I would say that eating some meat would be ideal for absolutely everybody in varying amounts for different people. And I really encourage people to also listen to their bodies because that's the biggest indicator, and your body will absolutely tell you what it is that it needs. And also, I mean, just aside from that, like really big takeaway is just throw away your television and don't listen to anything that it says, especially if it tells you to be a vegan.
But don't throw away your computer and watch my show on YouTube. Hit the like and
Hey.
subscribe button and follow Eve on Instagram. But hang tight, hang tight. We'll get to that in a second. I ask every guest this question unless I forget.
Oh gosh.
Give the audience a book recommendation. It can't be the Bible.
Okay. Okay. I want to. Oh my gosh. Okay, great book. Excuse me for being crass, but it's in the title, and I've really been working on my cursing. But a really great book. I got a lot of really important takeaways from it, and it really helped me to put things into perspective and move forward with my life. Was The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
I've heard of that book,
Yeah,
but who
fantastic.
who, who wrote it?
Mark something. Oh gosh, I read it a few years ago, so I can't say that I remember. 2 years ago, I read it.
So what is the actual? I mean, because I'm pretty good at not giving a fuck. Uh, but what is the argument? I mean, I feel like I've kind of been molded through some really cruddy life experiences. Coming out of that, it's been like, well, why would I care about your stupid opinion when I've been through this? Like, it's kind of like, well, I've been through worse things. So, like, what is the, I guess, the premise behind it?
Well, the main takeaway that I got from it, it made me realize when in my life I was playing the victim, and giving myself a sense of entitlement based on that victimhood. So, because I'm a victim in this situation, I deserve special treatment here and there. And it sounds so simple and self-explanatory that, of course, we shouldn't do such things. But reading this book really did put it into perspective for me, because I think so often people do that. Myself included. I'm absolute. Just because I've read it, it doesn't mean I'm always implementing it perfectly all the time. Yeah, just realizing when we are using our circumstances as a means of keeping us away from our goals, because we believe that that's why we can't achieve our goals, or we believe that we deserve some sort of special treatment so that we can achieve our goals based on our previously traumatizing or whatever experiences.
Yeah. Well, I take it a step further. I know that by putting my opinion out there, it's gonna piss somebody off. So I say, if I'm gonna piss them off, why not just enjoy it? So I enjoy
Oh,
pissing people off because
yeah. I mean,
my other option
unfortunately,
is to sulk, and I'm not gonna do that. So I'm just gonna laugh at you. So
yeah, yeah. I've been copying a lot of hate. I'm very vocal. I've got some rather polarizing opinions, and I do post about those on Instagram. And I do cop a lot of shade for that. and I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, sometimes I enjoy engaging in debate. I'm an ENTP type personality. I don't know if you know about, like, Carl Jung and Myers-Briggs and that type of thing. But
Myers-Briggs is astrology for white collar people. Okay.
It's so true. It's so true. But while I do take it loosely, I don't take it with a grain of salt. I do think that it has been really, really helpful with just providing a foundation of understanding what my tendencies are and how I can actually better myself because I have those tendencies, rather than just accepting them and becoming like complacent within my mediocrity. But anyway, ENTP loves a good debate, and sometimes I will engage with the haters and all that kind of thing. And then I'm like, I've just gotten to the point now where I'm like, all right, I'm just blocking, like, delete your comment, block, because like I don't need to waste my energy on that kind of thing. For the people out there who really like what I have to say and they share it, thank you so much. And the thing is, I look at the kind of people out there who don't support what it is that I have to say, and they say, oh, well, you're wrong in this, and you hate women, and you're an anti-feminist. I'm like, yeah, I'm literally like an anti-feminist. For all of those people, I look at their profiles. Oh, and these vegans as well. Oh my gosh, I will say quickly, as someone who I know, he posted this thing, like, he's a vegan, and he said that, like, he was posting a meme that was making fun of guys who hunt and like put pictures with their fish on like their social media, like a fish that they've caught. And I was like, as a woman, like, I actually find that really attractive for guys to post pictures of meat or fish that they've caught or whatever. And then he's like, oh, you must be like the only person with that opinion. And then these other two girls liked his comment, and I looked at the profiles of these two girls, and I was like, you're allowed to do what you want, but I'm like, I only take on board the opinions of people who actually live a life that I can see value in. And I'm like, I looked at their pictures and I was like, these are the people who are disagreeing with me. If these are the sorts of people who are disagreeing with me, then I must be doing a good thing.
I agree. Anyways, I think the only problem I have with you is that you're Greek, but I do think that you're quite informative, and maybe it will bring you back on, and I promise not to embarrass you next time. Where can people?
That'd be good.
Where can people follow you?
So I am mostly just posting on Instagram, and you can find me at the.eve.olution. So the evolution, and it's the.eve.olution.
Nice. I can't spell, but let's take one final poll. I think we'll embarrass you one more time since the chats are active. Who thinks that Eve would make a good pair with David Patrick Harry from Church of the Eternal Logos? Nobody's responding yet. Nobody's responding yet. I'm gonna send pictures after this, but on that note, let's end the broadcast. Nobody's gonna say anything. They're not gonna embarrass you. So
Good,
my audience is nicer than I am. Let me check super chat. No super chats. Nobody wanted to send me money, but it's okay. So it's you'll be okay, Eve. We'll be okay.
Yeah.
Listen. All I want to do is increase.
For today.
All I want to do is increase our birth rates. We're below replacement levels in the West and Australia, and we need. She's beautiful enough to find a man on her own. I'm sure that's true. Anna says, how embarrassing. I'm sorry.
Yes, Anna,
I'm sorry, Eve. I apologize.
Oh my god.
I'm not really sorry though. It was quite entertaining.
No, I
So
know you're not.
anyways, thanks for coming on the show, and thank you guys for watching. I may or may not have a show on Sunday because I'm traveling, and I might just take the day off. But next Thursday, Father Peter Hears is coming on all the way from Greece. So we'll be actually doing an Orthodox show, talking about Orthodoxy, which is something that I haven't done on the show yet. So it's been a kind of a a subject overarching, but haven't actually done a show on orthodoxy. So you should tune in, Eve, for
I definitely will.
some good catechesis from one of the best priests on the planet, Father Peter Hears. So we will see you all probably Thursday next week.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks for tuning in, guys.